What's up everyone, this is All I Talk is Tech, and today I'm going to be showing you the difference between the original iPod versus a really cool emulator I found on the iPhone. Let's get started. So first, a little bit of history. So the iPod was the device that actually saved Apple from going bankrupt. Also, this is during a time where Apple was pretty much out of ideas, their company wasn't doing too well, so they actually came out with the iPod, and this saved the company. This is probably one of the most revolutionary products ever released during that time period. It was a great device used for music in such a small, compact form factor. It was capable of holding up to 10,000 songs, which was pretty amazing for the time, and it even came with a really cool game. This game is known as Brick Breaker. It's pretty fun to play, and it's really cool to see that this device that is so old comes with a game on it. You'll also recognize this game on pretty much every other iPod released after this thanks to this iPod. You also get some other options like a clock, a calendar, and a few other things. So let's talk about the screen. The screen on this device is a monochromatic display, which basically means it's black and white, and it has a backlight, so that way you can view the screen when it's late at night, which is pretty cool. So rather than changing the brightness, you can actually change the contrast. So let's talk about the build quality. The build quality on this device was plastic and metal. The back was actually chrome and it was really shiny. This device was capable of holding up to 5 gigs, so technically this is the second generation iPod Classic, but the only difference between this one I have right now in front of me and the first generation iPod Classic is that the first generation comes in 5 gigabytes and has a different font on the back. You can also see that this thing is pretty thick. Steve Jobs compared it to the thickness of a stack of cards. That's pretty crazy that he even used that as a unit of measurement. Now on the first iPod, the scroll wheel actually used to move. It was really cool. You can see that the scroll wheel moves, and then later on they actually added touch sensitivity so that way you didn't need a physical moving part on the device. It's really cool to see how far along we've come. So that just gives you a little bit of perspective of what this device is and how it works and everything. So I actually found this really cool Safari app that lets you emulate this iPod. It's really cool. I'll have a link down below in the description if you want to check it out. And this emulator works the same way, although you can't download and install music. That kind of stinks. But basically what you can do is you can use the scroll wheel and go ahead and select really cool options. You can go to extras, although there is no game, so that kind of stinks. But funny story about the clock icon on the iPod was that it's actually not centered, so it's slightly shifted to the right a little bit more than it should, which is pretty funny. But you can see that the calendar actually doesn't work, whereas on the original iPod it would just continue scrolling to the next month. But on this website they do let you listen to music. Not really my taste of music, but I'm sure it was at the time. You can even change the volume, which is pretty cool, and you can play and pause the music, just like you would a usual iPod. Now sadly there are no settings for the monochromatic display because this is on an iPhone, but I just thought it'd be really cool to take a look back at the first generation iPod and see a really cool emulator and see what it had to offer. Anyways, this is just a little bit of a different video. Hopefully you guys enjoy the videos I've been making this week. They're kind of different from the usual ones, but that's about it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, peace.